It's Joshua here, the co-founder of Woodland Mills, and today we're going to go over the new 2013 version of the HM126. I'm going to start with the crate that it's shipped in. This crate here, 85 inches long, 26 inches deep, and 36 inches high. It weighs 830 pounds. In this crate is the sawmill, the saw head, all the track you need to cut 10-foot lumber. It's all complete and ready to go. You just need to assemble it on the ground, and we'll go over that shortly. In this smaller box is a track extension. And this track extension, the box is 7 inches by 7 inches and about 85 inches long as well. Weighs 140 pounds. If you order our shipping, we deliver it residential tailgate delivery service. So it's to the driveway, lowered to the ground. And this track extension, as well as any other accessories you purchase with the sawmill, will be packed on top of this crate and shipped, bundled and wrapped to your door. Or you can pick them up at one of our warehouses. It does fit in a pickup truck and it can be loaded from the end. Next, we're going to go over and have a look at the sawmill assembled. The sawmill is going to come with a detailed assembly manual. It goes step by step through the process of how to assemble the saw head itself, assemble the tracks, and then you're going to come to a part where you've got to set the tracks up on a level surface. So what we've done here is we've cut in these 6x6 wood blocks to give us a level surface, and we used a 4-foot level to work our way along, get the blocks leveled, and then we've set our track system on the blocks. Now the total assembly, you should set aside a long half day to a short full day to get this thing put together, assembled, and running on a set of tracks so you can cut your first log. The majority of the head comes assembled. You basically have to construct the frame that holds the head and then the track system that it rolls on. Now, speaking of the tracks, we've got 2.5 inch by 4 inch L channel for our track system. It's got a laser cut top edge, and that gives us consistency that we couldn't get from the steel mill itself. Our clamp system, we have two parts here. So we've got a long clamp for doing our long logs or our round logs at the start. And this lets us set its height and clamp. We also have a new feature for 2013, which is a shorter one. And what this allows us to do is clamp at a 90-degree angle on our cants, nice and low, so we get a tighter clamp and we get more force on the clamp. Previously, you'd have the clamp on an angle and you wouldn't get as tight of a clamping. Next, we're going to move on to the saw head and the powder-coated guards. So we've got powder-coated guards, all steel, hinged. In behind, we've got our band wheels, cast iron band wheels at about 19-inch diameter. We're running a commercial cogged V-belt, a BX series. Pressed bearings into the face here. Now these are maintenance free, they're sealed bearings. Common off-the-shelf parts, you can buy them at any bearing shop in North America. And again, they're double stacked and pressed in from the face. The lube system, and this is a blade lube system, so this is what you drip on your blade while you're cutting, and that's going to keep the sap from building up. It's going to keep the blade cool. It's also going to keep pitch, which is stringy fibers, off the teeth themselves. It's 6.5 liters. It's aluminum. It's got a needle valve here that you can set your flow rate, and then the tube runs through to a conveniently placed on-off back here. So you set your flow rate up here based on how much lube you need for the material you're cutting and the season you're cutting in. And then you can just turn that system on and off back here quickly from the user position and operating position. This T-handle here is used to set the blade tension. And a new addition for 2013 was the addition of this nut here. The reason for this is so that you can get a good feel for how tight this T-handle needs to be to set your blade tension with a torque wrench. This is all covered in the manual, but this allows you to set your blade tension at least the first 10 or 20 times by torque wrench, and then you get a feel for just how tight it is, and you'll find it's very easy to reset it and replicate the proper tension. For 2013, we've gone to stainless steel cables. And we've also relocated our up and down crank handle from at the top of the machine to the back of the machine. So now we're raising and lowering from behind. This became very helpful when you're trying to eye up your log and you need to get down and have a look at what you're doing. It also helps if you've designed or you're going to raise this sawmill up on a trailer system, or you want it up off the ground for ergonomics or ease of use. If you've got equipment to load the sawmill, then you could raise it up and you don't have to roll your logs on from the ground. With the handle back here, we've also included an indexing plunger, which will allow you to fix the head of the sawmill at the height you want to make your cut. So from here, you're going to have a view of the user position or operating position. You're going to see how handy everything is. You've got your up and down motion here. We've got our magnetic scale indicator. So this is magnetic. We do offer multiple scales now, depending on what kind of boards you're cutting. It's just magnetic. A lot of guys can make their own scales too. We've upgraded to a clear readout here with a tighter fit, so we can kind of anticipate where we're going to be. And then this can also be set. So once you get your flat start on your log, then you can zero this out and then work your way down through the log to get the boards. We've got our tracking here. So this helps you adjust the tracking of the blade on the band wheels themselves and gets it set up so you're ready to mill. The T-handle we already covered for tension. This is your gas and go throttle. So the engine runs with a centrifugal clutch, and all you got to do is give it gas. So from the back of the machine, you give it gas and you can make your cut. Again, gas and go. The stainless steel cables have been rerouted, and that was to bring this handle down to the back from up at the top. We've got our on and off lubricant here, so it's conveniently placed at the back. We've got lifting hooks up at the top now, so if you've got a tractor and you like to move your sawmill around, or chain block, even if we're getting it assembled and set up, we've included these lifting hooks so you can lift from the top. You're going to see the Kohler Command Pro 9.5. So this is the engine, 3-year commercial warranty, 9.5 horsepower, terrific engine. It's got a dual stage air cleaner based on winter or summer use. You know, we got choke, throttle is linked to it. We got our on off here. Inside of our lifting mechanism is basically a lead screw, and we're just adjusting that lead screw with this handle here. So we're raising and lowering by changing the length of this part here, and that's all done. It's greasable, it's maintainable, it's serviceable. Inside here we've got these cam locks, and what the cam locks do is once we've got our height picked, we can lock the head in for the cut, and that adds rigidity to the sawmill and as well locks the head so that we keep our cut consistent all the way through. So we've come around again to the front of the mill, and I'm going to go through the guide assembly. So this small roller bearing here at the back, again, is a sealed bearing, common off-the-shelf parts. You can source them locally or you can order them through us. We've got hardened steel blocks top and bottom. These blocks are adjustable. There's an Allen key head in here, and they can adjust up and down, and that's all covered and set up in the manual. On this side, you're going to see a safety, and what this safety is here to do is hit the log supports before you do. Log supports come in a short as well as a long, and they're perched on the side of our bunks here. And the bunks we use are 3-inch by 6-inch rectangular tube. And the reason we use such wide tube is so that you don't mar the log when you're doing your turning, and you don't damage the logs. It also gives you a nice wide bearing, so it's not hard on the square edges of your cants. So when you're set up low to the ground like we are, you're going to start with your big logs, with your big supports. And the reason the top here is cut on an angle, so when you're turning the big logs, it doesn't get caught up. It forces it to rotate. As you get lower in the cut, you lower these down Once they bottom out, you can switch to the smaller log supports. And that way, when this is all the way down and this stops here, the blade won't go low enough to hit it, so you know they're safely out of the way. On the track runner wheels here, we have cleaners, or sweepers we call them. These are adjustable, they got lots of service life. You can adjust them up and down, and that keeps the sawdust and the sap and the pitch out of your wheels themselves. Keeps the surface of the track tidy. So now we're going to get this set up to load a log on it. And today we're loading quite a large sugar maple or hard maple. So I'm going to set these up. We're going to get the tractor, and we're going to load it with a tractor today. Because the bunks are raised off the track itself, I've got lots of room in here to fit my forks, so I can basically come in, lower down, the log will stay on the upper bunk, and then I can back my tractor out and leave that log positioned. Because I'm set up on the ground, I could also just roll the log onto the track itself with some small ramps made out of 4x4s, 2x4s. But we do have a tractor here today, so we'll use it. So now we've got our log loaded. This is about a 20-inch sugar maple or a hard maple. We use them for maple syrup here in Ontario, but I'm going to just position it here with the cant hook. Make sure it's tight against the log supports on the back side. Then I'm going to use a clamp to secure it into place. Make sure it won't wiggle on us. And then we can go around to the back of the mill and I'll show you how to line it up to take our first cut. So now we're here at the back of the mill and we're lining up our first cut. So one of the benefits of moving this handle down to the back is it allows us to line this up while we're kind of knelt down and having a look at the end of the log. So we want to position this to take off a scab, not a board. But we don't want to be in and out of the bark either, because that's where all the dirt's hiding. So I've got a good set there for our first board. I'm going to lock the cam handles. And now we're going to start up the engine and we'll make our first cut. we've got our first board. We're cutting about 16-inch cuts in a hard maple. So now we've taken the first couple passes off this maple log. I'm going to rotate it flat side down and reclamp it, ready for our next set of cuts. So once we've got it flipped over, we can just come down and clamp it again. Ready for our next cut. So now we're going to get set up for the next set of cuts. We're going to do a various amount of cuts, some thin stuff, some thick stuff, show you guys what the machine can do. Again, I need to position the blade where I want to make my first cut. I lock my cam handles. I start the engine. We gas and we go. So we've just finished milling that 20-inch hard maple, and I'm sitting on about 80 board feet of lumber that we've got stacked back here on the mill. That log was 20 inches by about 8 feet. The capacity of the mill is actually 26 inches by 10 feet, so we could have fit a bit bigger log on there. As you saw, 20 inches is a substantial piece of hardwood. When you're working with the big logs, make sure you got 5-foot cant hook. When you're working with smaller logs or smaller cants, you can get away with a 2-foot. Now I want to talk about some frequently asked questions we get. So a lot of guys ask us about the blades. So we ship the mill with a Lennox Woodmaster C blade, and that's an off-the-shelf part. You can buy it at any blade supplier in North America. We do sell them in 10 packs, and we recommend you have probably 10 blades on hand, 5 sharp and 5 ready to go to the guy who's going to sharpen them. The maintenance on the sawmill. So a lot of guys ask us, what's it actually going to take to keep the sawmill running all year long? What's it going to take in terms of expense and cost? So all the parts that are wear items are replaceable at most bearing shops or just over the counter, even at hardware stores. So you're going to have guide bearings in the back here. These are $3 a piece. It's a standard size. You call, we can give you the size if you want to source them locally. We do sell them in packs of 4. We also have the band wheel bearings, which are inside the cast iron band wheels. They're double stacked, 2 deep, and they just push out from the back. There's a little clip here. Again, a standard size, off the shelf. We can give you the number. If you can't find them locally, we can UPS them out to you quick. The belts, again, these are just BX series belts. It's a cogged drive belt. This one runs loose as a tire to shake off the sawdust, and this one runs tight. The tension of this belt is governed by the engine, and the engine moves on a sliding plate. So that we also have to maintain and lubricate a few things on the machine, and not the bearings. All the bearings are sealed, but there is a lead screw for the vertical kind of movement of the saw head. And that can be maintained once a year. You're going to want to disassemble that and grease it and put it back together. You also have your T-handle for tension, and it's got an Acme thread and a lead screw as well, and you're going to need to remove that, grease it, and put it back together, again, annually, or if you're a really heavy user, maybe twice a year. You'll feel it if it's binding as opposed to tightening, and then it's time to give it some grease. So maintenance-wise, you're really looking at belts, blades and bearings. And again, the blades are off the shelf at any blade supplier. We do sell them. We recommend the Lennox brand. We have really good luck with them and they work well. The bearings, guide bearings, band wheel bearings, and then there's a few things you got to grease. The throttle cable should be lubricated with light oil as well. Change the engine oil. That's standard practice for a small engine. And that's you. You're milling all year long. For literally, it's probably $100 in maintenance items all year. I want to take this time now to thank you for watching the video. And if you have any questions, please give our toll-free line a call or send us an email. Check out the website. We've got a great testimonials page with lots of pictures of customer setups, custom trailers, ground mounts, farm mounts, just out of the crate mounts. There's all sorts of ways to set this machine up. And please browse the website and let us know if you have any questions. Thank you.